is not for CBC alone. I have seen classrooms which were done by CDF. I've seen classrooms which were done by other entities. And I can tell you, let me start with my own home of Kisumu. Who was with me when I went to inspect the classroom? So, Dera, were you there? Yes, sir. Why don't you tell him what we saw? We have seen substandard classrooms. And I want to say before God that among the CBC classrooms I have inspected, and I have inspected very many, I think I only redirected one in Elgeyo Marakwet to take down the wall and make sure. And it was about size. They wanted to steal money because of size. But the standards are acceptable. In fact, most of them are better than the regional schools' classrooms. I built classrooms for schools over 25 years ago, and they are still as good as they were built. And that is the standard I'm seeing. Forget about this beautiful girl you are seeing here. This one, wamerembesha sana. Even if you had put terrazzo or you had just put red oxide, bado ingekuwa sawa. But as long as they have not stolen the cement money, where if I walk, because if I walk in the old classrooms with my weight, the cement comes out. I've not seen that. And if you see it, tell me. So and it is at 78,000. So what used to happen to the 426,000? That's what you should be asking me. Yes, the last one. Mandera, Garissa, Wajir, Meru, and Siaya. They completed 100% more than 5 weeks ago. Then now you have the ones which are sleeping at 99%. You have Nandi, and there are many others at 99%. You have Nyamira, you have Kcse. There are about 10 of them. I don't know why they are refusing to complete. In fact, as a surgeon, I don't understand why. Because once you identify the problem, you go and camp there. And that's why I'm here in Masaku. Masaku, I've been assured, but you will see me here again. Do you understand? So globally, we are at over 90% now. But why Machako should be below that, I cannot understand. We have a slight problem in Lamu, which we all understand why. But we are going to deal with it because they needed just a few classrooms, and it's an isolated situation. Otherwise, the majority of the latecomers are between 70 and 85, and you belong there. Do you think you should belong there? No. Masaku of all the places. Yeah. So that's it. I think it's something that we have delivered, and the important thing here is that 788,000 Kenyan shillings. And to plead with our teachers in terms of the results that we released yesterday. If you believe in God, then you take what God has given you and then play your part. And the part of the parents is having known that the economy has been extremely difficult, please do your best. Don't go to school empty-handed if your child is going to a boarding school. If your child is going to a day school, the most important thing to buy is the uniform first. Then if you can afford the lunch, fine. If you can't afford lunch, it does not matter. The very, very poor, government is going to feed them to the extent that we can afford. Are we together?
Yes.
Because I never ate lunch, but I keep telling you, you look at me very well. Do I look like somebody who eats lunch? No, so it can be done, and we passed well. Don't send children away because they have no uniform. I'm going to urge high school principals. In the yesteryears, if you found, and I think some of them are doing it like in Dimuli here, if you find children who are a bit on the lower side with regard to ability, they regimented themselves and bought uniforms for them. Yeah. I think let me encourage people to do so. In terms of school fees for boarding schools, parents, please try and make sure that you don't send your child to school without any money. If you have not got enough money, accompany the child and go and explain to the principal. Because my directive to them is that every child must be admitted. Yes. They have lost a lot of time, and we are still normalizing. We haven't normalized. We shall normalize when we have done the exam in December.
Okay.
But being Kenyans, we think we have normalized. Now you can just, we have not, we are normalizing. So we still need to pamper everybody. We pamper ourselves until we reach December. So unless I'm not as happy as I should be because we are at 84% countrywide. This being Machakos in Nairobi metropolis, and we have to complete this process in 10 days. I've been assured by Ngao and all the officers under her, including the chiefs, and my own regimented officers that we are going to complete. I have told them the way to do it. You give yourself performance targets and you don't go home until you complete. It is extremely important, since we are at over 90% nationwide. There is no reason under the earth that Machakos should be at 84%. We have constructed over 5,000 classrooms, with the remaining ones nearing completion. Most of them are at roofing and finishing level. I believe that we shall deliver, so that I can brief His Excellency the President that the first 6,487 classrooms are completely built, and that there is no county remaining behind, and also to seek his authority to allow us to start constructing the balance of the 10,000 classrooms, which must be done between next month and July. I also want to just watch the election in my house. But when I go to exercise their power, we shall have completed the 10,000 classrooms in readiness for whoever is coming to take over the ministry, because our children must go to school next year. In terms of other preparations, because I hear people asking, how are you prepared? The government is fully prepared for the CBC rollout in terms of junior secondary schools. From the public sector perspective, I think we have done very well. I also want to take this opportunity right now to invite our private schools to also build classrooms, private secondary schools that is, and among the faith-based secondary schools that are private. I met with the bishops yesterday, and we encouraged each other that they should also build classrooms which we will inspect together, since we work together. And I want to continue to encourage the primary schools in the private sector in urban areas where they have proliferated primary schools like Nairobi and Mombasa, and Nairobi metropolis like Kajiado, where they are just producing too many children from private primary schools, that those who want to invest in standalone junior secondary schools should build the classrooms now, so that we inspect them. You have seen the size of this classroom. This is a standard size. This is more beautiful because they have done one or two other things, but the basic one must also still be this size. And I also now want to say that soon, maybe within a month or so, in the public sector, we said we shall identify about 1,500 primary schools which have excess capacity, that we'll only have to construct one more classroom. We'll give them teachers so that we are ready to go. All this is because we want to be sure that whoever inherits this ministry has as little work as possible, and with politics aside, the person will find that the examinations are actually now almost being printed to be ready for December, so our children don't have to worry. Even if there is a repeat election, and that election can take place at the same time as exams, the public should not worry, because everything has been done. You have seen that the government of His Excellency Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta has already passed a budget which gives the Kenya National Examination Council 5 billion shillings to ensure that all the exams, including the 3 remaining ones for this year, including the assessments, are given. So we can play politics and also make sure that as we play politics, our children are going to school and to ensure that they are not affected. In terms of making sure that the teachers are trained, I've already said that the teachers for grade 6, which is starting next month, have been trained in adequate numbers, and they are ready and willing to go. And I want to salute our teachers for their selflessness and professionalism. And then there are also people who are inquiring out there, what about teachers for January? They are being trained as we speak for grade 7 and 8, and it will continue. So there should be actually no excuse for anybody to start confusing our children. Children are like clay, you mold them. And as we make a lot of noise, we people who have made so many sins, let us be a little bit conservative in what we throw at each other. Because children don't tend to forget, isn't it? Yeah, so that's all I would want to say, that we are very much ready as far as being prepared. We have about 10% of the classrooms to complete. So you're going to see me out there. We don't back away from what we are supposed to do. And I think it is a target that we can manage, because there is no classroom which is at slab level. There are none, very few that are at walling level. The few that are left are mainly at roofing and finishing level, and we shall be able to deliver. And don't forget, this is at the cost of 788,000. I want to thank our builders nationwide for having been patriotic enough to accept the small profit, which is good enough. And it means that they have also contributed to the process of building for their own children and those who are their relatives in this process. In terms of marking the Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education, we are on schedule. And like I have said, people don't have to worry. If you did nothing wrong, you don't have to worry. You'll get the mark that belongs to you. If you are tempted, the law and the rules are there. But I want to say that we are on schedule, and we shall deliver this result well in time, so that when we open schools, people are not worried about the results. I want to plead with our parents.